Judicial Watch has a new lawsuit for documents about Joe Biden, a new lawsuit for documents about the unmaskings, and as I was suggesting earlier, a new lawsuit trying to hold a leftist government here accountable to the rule of law on its First Amendment violations of Judicial Watch's rights tied to the protests. So I'll talk about that as well. So a lot going on. First up, though, is our big new lawsuit against the University of Delaware over its failure to turn over Biden documents from his time in the Senate to the American people. And specifically, Judicial Watch has filed a lawsuit in the state of Delaware on behalf of itself and our friends at the Daily Caller News Foundation. Now, we had asked for the records, not way back when, but earlier this year, back in April 30th of 2020, we had filed a FOIA request for documents about how this university was handling the Joe Biden documents. We want communications the university had with Senator Biden, Vice President Biden about the records, and maybe even Senator Biden, who knows? And especially about the issue about the proposed release of records and how that was going to be handled. Our friends at the Daily Caller News Foundation asked for all the records. Where are all these records that this state-supported institution has about Joe Biden's time as a senator? You know, what's interesting about this case is that as a senator, typically these records are hard to get because Congress, as you know, exempts itself. Maybe you don't know this, but you will be outraged to learn, perhaps, that Congress exempts itself from the Freedom of Information Act and other general records laws like that. But in turning these records over to the state-supported institution that is covered by the Freedom of Information Act, Senator Biden has made his records subject to public scrutiny. And so any agreements, side agreements, allegedly they have, in this case, the side agreement is to they wouldn't be released until he leaves office or basically doesn't. Let me see. Let me get the specific thing. Oh, excuse me. The university has said it will not release the records until 2 years after Biden is retired from public life. So when did he end? When did he stop being a senator? In 2004. So President Obama ran in 2008. So 2007, 2008. It's now 2020. Now Biden doesn't want any. Let's say he wins in November, and then he wins again the next November. 2028. So decades will pass before we be able to look at the senators, again, public records that are being maintained with taxpayer dollars. That can't be the case. So accordingly, we sued. They denied our request. They claimed without cooperation, this University of Delaware, that public funds are not used to support the Biden Center's senatorial papers. So why is it we want these documents? In many ways, because they're there, because these are documents that ought to be disclosed to the American people under law. And of course, there are all these controversies. You had this Tara Reade, who accused Biden of sexually assaulting her. She suggested that records about her complaints around the assault would be in his senatorial papers. And of course, Biden himself has admitted to communicating with Vladimir Putin and other foreign leaders when he was a senator. So what was he talking to Putin about? I mean, isn't that interesting to anybody? He's running for president. It doesn't mean that there will be scandalous records. Maybe Tara Reade will be shown to be having not told the truth. Maybe his communications with Vladimir Putin and other foreign leaders make him seem like a great man. Well, if so, why are they hiding the records? That's my question. So when you hide material, in many cases, not all the time, In many cases, it's because you have something to hide, especially if the reason for hiding is really not lawful. And in the case of the University of Delaware, it's Delaware. The Senator Biden, Vice President Biden, is a giant political figure there. When he was a senator for years and years and years, he was vice president. I'm sure he's a favorite son. So we can't let politics get in the way, though, in the enforcement of the rule of law. And so everyone's, what's incredible about this is that this man is running for president of the United States, and who is first to try to ask basic questions in court about what he did as a senator? Judicial Watch. I mean, he's been running, for a year now? And we're the only ones in court with, of course, our friends at Daily Caller News Foundation. And I'm sure other news organizations have asked for the records, but no one sued. Again, it's Judicial Watch doing the basic heavy lifting for government accountability and just the rule of law and transparency issues. And again, we've got all of these issues about Joe Biden as a senator, but the sexual harassment complaint, Vladimir Putin, his handling of Supreme Court nominations. I mean, that's a big deal too. Remember, he ran the Thomas nomination? I mean, that was a wild abuse of Justice Thomas at the time. I'd like more information about that, in particular as well. And so the University of Delaware should stop protecting Joe Biden and release the records. And of course, the vice president, he can just authorize the release of these records as well. There's nothing preventing him. Let's presume that there's this agreement. And let's presume that it has any validity under law. I don't think it does. He can just authorize the release of the records. 2 years after he retires, effectively that means we'll never see them. Or we'll see them at a point of time when it won't have any impact on our decision making related to our government. So that's why Judicial Watch is in court right now in the state of Delaware on behalf of Judicial Watch, obviously, and the Daily Caller News Foundation to find out the full truth about Senator Biden's record as a United States Senator. And it's just remarkable that we're the ones doing it and no one else is. But that's Judicial Watch. That's welcome to our lives. This is what happens. We kind of end up doing the basic work that you would think the media would be doing, Congress would be doing, and others might be doing. But obviously, that's why it's such a wonderful thing that the law allows us to be able to do this work, because in any other country, most other countries don't have laws like this allowing access to the records. They just don't. And if they are, they're much more draconian in terms of being in favor of the government versus the people. And here we have this government accountability law that allows us to petition our government and hold it accountable as the Constitution provided for. And by darn it, we're going to use it to the hilt. We're going to use it to the hilt because our freedoms are at stake every day.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.